What's going on, guys? Today I bring you another video. This time will be the third round of the National Amateur Championship. I got paired up against a really strong player, as you can see on the screen. Rodrigo Basílio, 1944. Yeah, he was the second highest player in the tournament. So I was very hyped. I had the black pieces, and let's see how the game went. So my opponent played e4. I played d5, which is already. I think it's the first time. No, it's the second time in this series that I've played this, and yeah, it's just an opening. This Scandinavian with e takes d5, knight f6. It's an opening that I have a lot of love for because it was the first opening that I used in like rated tournaments. So yeah, I was like the first like four matches, which was my first like tournament in classical chess. I don't have on the YouTube channel, unfortunately. But yeah, the first ever game that I played against the 1700, and I played this Scandinavian with knight f6, and I lost, but it was nice still. I have a lot of love for this opening, so sometimes I just use it as a surprise weapon. So my opponent goes knight f3. I take the pawn on d5. He goes d4, and I play bishop g4. Very standard. The computer hates this type of opening, so I will not be paying too much attention to it at the start, because no matter what, it will always say that white is clearly better, like +1, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Bishop e2, knight c6, c4, and here you can go knight f6 or you can go knight b6. I prefer knight b6. And he goes d5. So yeah, this is a standard line. You take the knight with the bishop on f3, and then when the bishop recaptures, you play knight d5. There's also g takes f3, which the engine even likes slightly more, but it is a very similar line. But yeah, my opponent plays bishop takes on f3, and I play knight e5. And here my opponent plays bishop e2. And all of a sudden, I mean, the computer already says that it's equal after e6. So yeah, all that +1 for pretty much nothing. And we're following one of the main lines of this position. So, but here I didn't play e6. I played actually c6. And my opponent took the pawn. We traded queens. I recaptured with the knight, and yeah, we have this position after bishop e3. I played e6 here. So yeah, we entered this position, which is just queenless type of middle game, where my opponent has he has the bishop pair, so you can say that he's slightly better, but I'm gonna be able to castle and develop quickly. So I guess it's just equal. So here I go e6. I wasn't too afraid of him taking here, because it opens my rook, and I'm gonna get my bishop out. These double pawns, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'll have a lot of development, and I am sure that I am just completely fine, if not better, because of just the development. So here my opponent plays knight c3, very logical, and I castle queenside. He goes king c2, and I go bishop e7. So I just wanted to connect the rooks, develop my bishop maybe to f6, which it would have a good diagonal here. Yeah, I didn't feel like bishop b4 would do anything, because yeah, you can even probably just take with the king if I ever trade. Hey guys, Rick from the future here. I forgot to mention an important variation here. So after my opponent plays king c2, one of the critical moves and the best move in the position is knight d4 check, which I was trying to calculate, and I definitely saw this opportunity. And the reason why this is so important is that I will just eliminate his bishop pair. He either has to take on d4, which, yeah, it seems like the best move, or if he moves the king, I'll just take on e2. But here I didn't like this variation, because after bishop takes on d4, rook takes on d4, and knight b5, all of a sudden I thought that I was in big trouble, because he's not only attacking my rook on d4, but he's also attacking the pawn on a7, and I thought I was just gonna lose a pawn, because on just rook f4, for example, attacking this pawn on f2, I thought that just f3 would do the job. Although now that he played f3, I can play a6, which I totally missed. And if after rook f4 he plays something like knight takes on a7, I can just go rook king b8, attack the knight has to retreat, and then I take on f2, and I should be better, because this bishop is pinned, meaning that he has to protect somehow, and then I can actually take the second pawn on g2. This was just a miscalculation from my part. Also, if I play, for example, just rook e4, and he plays bishop f3, I can actually just take on c4. And I'm doing really well, because I'm just gonna kick the knight out, and you know, my rook is protected by the knight, and I'm just doing fantastic. I missed these details, and I thought that I was just gonna lose material here, which is not true. I can just play rook e4 or rook f4, and I should be fine. So yeah, goes a knight b5 in here. I just play king b8 to defend the pawn on a6 here. If my opponent decides to check, I can even just play e5, and I'm completely fine. But my opponent plays rook hd1, contesting the d file, and here I play knight c8. So here, my idea with knight c8 is that I want to kick this knight on b5, which is kind of annoying here. But if I go a6 directly, I just lose to bishop takes b6. And so, yeah, I mean, it doesn't lose on the spot, I guess, because I still can trade rooks like this. But yeah, this is not a position that you want at all to play with the black pieces. So yeah, of course, in order for me to be able to push a6, I decided to go knight c8, which the computer doesn't like. The computer suggests f5, which, I mean, gains space on the king side, but I don't know about creating this backward pawn here on e6. Also, just bishop f6, I guess, gaining control of that diagonal that I talked about. But yeah, I mean, this knight just really annoyed me here. And the thing is that if my opponent, let's say I do bishop f6, my opponent can kind of trade here now, and I will never be able to kick this knight out of b5. That was also one concern, because here with the knight on b5, my king is not very flexible, and yeah, I don't know about this position, to be honest. I didn't really like this, so I just decided to play knight c8 and you know, prepare a6 and possibly reroute my knight. So yeah, here I played knight c8. My opponent plays bishop f3, putting pressure on my knight on c6, and here I play e5, which my idea with e5 was to gain space in the center, and if my opponent takes on c6, he can't really go back to d4. So that was my whole, like, idea, genius idea. But I guess e5, I mean, I don't know. It is a move. It's not horrible. The computer doesn't hate it, doesn't love it. It's just a move. Here my opponent plays bishop d5, which, yeah, the computer now just thinks that black is equal after my move, which I played instantly. Knight before check. I gain the, I take the bishop pair off him, so he no longer has the bishop pair. And yeah, now I guess what he got in return for giving the light square bishop away, he got a passed pawn on d5, which can be dangerous if I let him just push him down the board and I don't block him. But yeah, after c takes d5, here I just kick the knight from b5 to c3, and now I play f5. So now I'm just ready to play f4, gain space on the king side, put a knight on d6, blockade the pawn, and try to activate my pieces. Here my opponent plays f4, I play e4, and my opponent plays bishop d4. And here I'm very proud that I found the best move according to the engine, which, you might be reluctant to do it, and I kind of was a bit reluctant, but thinking for a while, I thought that it was a very nice way to simplify. Hope you're enjoying the video. I just wanted to point out quickly that 82% of you guys that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and I would highly appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Just get a better position than what I had here. I played bishop f6, contesting the bishop, and here my opponent just takes, which is the best move, I guess. If you go on d4 and you can double my pawns, you should. But here I like my doubled pawns, I don't hate my doubled pawns, because this f6 pawn protects the e5 square, which would be a possible outpost for this knight, which no longer has that outpost, and also opens the g file for my rooks to get active, and even if I get like rook g8, my opponent might defend it with g3, and I can go h5, h4, just break everything up, and yeah, I can put a knight on d6, and I should be fine, even though I have double pawns. And yeah, my opponent strikes with g4 immediately, which, I actually thought during the game that it was very nice, because, it's just gonna regain the e4 pawn. I pretty much have to take it. I don't think just playing knight d6 and recapturing here makes a lot of sense, so I just take on g4. He takes my pawn on e4, my passed pawn on e4, and here I play f5, and yeah, I mean, I don't have any problems here. I have strong pawns on the king side, and yeah, I should be fine, as long as I don't let this pawn become too dangerous. Here, the engine recommends knight g3, which makes a lot of sense, making me have to defend on f5, but I can always defend it with a knight, which is the good thing about knight c8 in the end. It's, knight c8 was on the perfect square to blockade the pawn and defend, but here my opponent tries to be more aggressive with knight g5 going forward, and also threatening knight f7. Here it's kind of crazy that the computer says that black is almost winning. Black is like minus 1.7 after rook d7, which makes sense. Stops the knight coming from f7, also adds more protection to h7, and prepares to double the rooks and just straight up win this pawn and be a pawn up. But I play rook e8, which is also good. I just wanted to activate my other rook. Here I wasn't afraid of knight takes h7, because I mean, after rook h8 I should be fine. Let's say it goes back here, I can take this pawn, and yeah, we just trade the pawns, but my rook is very active here, so yeah, I'm doing fine. So my opponent doesn't take the pawn on h7 and plays knight e6. attacking my rook on d8. Here I play rook d7, very nice. And my opponent plays rook ac1. And here the computer just wants h5, which looking at it now makes a lot of sense, you know, just trying to gain space on the king side. And yeah, it's white is kind of starting to not have a lot of moves to make, and kind of regretting this position a bit. But I decided to play knight b6, just straight up creating the threat of taking on d5. And here after rook c5, um, I thought for a long while, because I thought that this was a critical position. I thought about rook takes on e6, but I just came to the conclusion that this loses, because even though I take this rook, then he plays e7. I can't really stop this pawn, because if I go here, my opponent just blocks with the rook and it's GG's. Yep. So I didn't go for this, and I did a bad move, which yeah, it is unfortunate, but it was a bad move. I played rook takes on d5, and yeah, the computer says that I should just be patient and play h5 again, gaining space on the king side and asking black, what is your move, you know? Let's say a4 to put pressure on this knight, just h4. Computer wants, let's say a5 here, just knight c8. Just keep everything intact. You're gonna play knight d6, you're probably gonna play knight e4, and this pawn is going nowhere. This knight is kind of stuck here. So yeah, it required me to be patient and to be be aware of this and be strong, but I was impatient. I just saw that I could take the pawn on d5, and I took it and simplified the position. So I took with the rook, takes with the rook, takes, and yeah, this is pretty much all kind of forced. And yeah, the problem here is that yeah, it's just equal because it takes the pawn on f5, and here you can see that it's equal. I mean, two versus two on the queen side, and you know, 2 versus 2 on the king side. And yeah, you can even say that I'm slightly better because my pawns are connected. But here we enter the type of position where I usually mess things up. Rook endgames, my worst nightmare. Could pretty much say my kryptonite. And here, you know, there were a lot of moves that I considered. I considered just checking on e3. I considered rook e2, and I considered rook h6. I ended up going for rook e2, which I think out of all of them is the worst option. I think the cleanest here would be rook h6. When after rook g5, we trade these pawns, and yeah, there's like not much any of us can do, because I'm just gonna play h5 here. He has to move his rook. Let's say he moves it to g5. I can go h4 probably, and yeah, well, I mean, rook h5, h3. I don't know, he can start bringing, I mean, if he brings his king, he loses these pawns. But he can also push here, I guess. But yeah, I mean, what can he do, honestly? Let's say he goes rook h7 to cut off my king. I guess I can just play rook f2, and, you know, he's probably gonna take, and this, I mean, this is just complete draw. But, and mind you, here I was happy with the draw, because, you know, I was playing such a higher rated opponent, and, you know, when I took on d5, I kind of assumed that, okay, I'm out of the woods. I didn't even like consider that I was playing for. I wasn't even playing for the win in that other position. I was just playing for like a draw, to be honest. And yeah, but here I play rook e2, which I thought that it was just nice because I'm gonna win this pawn the same, right? And then maybe it's even better because I can get my rook behind the pawn fast or something like that. But here my opponent plays rook h5 and I start getting tilted because this is not so simple. He's just defending the pawn on h2 and threatening my pawn on h7, which is annoying to say the least. Here I played rook f2, which is still fine. I mean, the idea is that if he takes here, I take here, and it's just normal, a draw again. But my opponent goes f5, which is a little bit annoying. Of course, I can't capture this. And yeah, he still has pressure on h7. Here I play h6 with the idea that if he takes, I can take here. But this is not good at all because, yeah, it just allows his king to come closer. And if the king comes too close, I'm in big trouble. Here the computer suggests a move that for me, it's very hard to play. I mean, it suggests rook f4 is fine, I guess. Rook f4 makes sense, just holding everything tight and cutting the king from joining the party, even though the king probably can start coming and harassing me. But it also suggests king c7, which is very hard for me to play because this just loses a pawn with check. But like, just the end, like the computer doesn't care. He's even gonna go rook. He's gonna go king d6, just allowing him to take another pawn. So now my opponent is like up 2 pawns, and here just suggests rook h2, and here I'm even losing a third pawn, like here. But yeah, this is crazy. I guess it just thinks that this is just a dead draw and there's nothing to play for. But I would never go for this because I'm a human and this doesn't look like a dead draw to me. Yeah, so I ended up playing h6, which allows him to go king c4. But now I can also start bringing my king in with king c7. King d5 though, king d7, king e5 here, and we start getting really low on the clock. It starts, becoming a really tense game. Here I play the best move, which is just to go grab that pawn on b2, and after my opponent plays rook takes on h6, here I should just take the pawn as well, and not be afraid of any checks or any f6s, because I can always just check him and get closer to the pawn. Makes sense. In the game I did the classic Rick stuff with panicking. I played rook b5 check, which is bad, and after king f6 I played rook b6 check, which rook b6 check just loses on the spot. I miscalculated. I thought I could do this, but I can't, because after king g7 I realized that if I take the rook here, it takes, and when I play king e7 trying to stop this this pawn, it just plays king g7 and I can resign. It's just gonna make a queen. But yeah, I panicked, I miscalculated, and I ended up losing and resigning in this position. So very unfortunate. But here, after taking on b2 and he takes on h6, I could do two things. I could just take the pawn, and then come back, or I could just play rook e2 check, and if he goes forward, for example, I take this pawn, and yeah, it's just crazy how the computer is not afraid. Let's say king g4 here, just wants simple king g2, and if f4, yes, king e6. I mean, yeah, this for me is tough. Let's say rook h7, g3. What if I play rook f2? Rook f2 is already bad because of rook e7 check, king d6. Yeah, the computer doesn't like this for black. It's just, for me, it's very complicated. It's something that I've been working on, but even while working on rook endgames, I still have so much to do. And yeah, like they say that every rook endgame is a draw. All rook endgames are draws. But for me, it's almost like all rook endgames are losses. But yeah, I have to just play around with these positions against the computer, for example, and just try to really calculate everything deeply, and understand that with the theoretical knowledge that I have in rook endgames that I've gained with studying books, I can just try to apply that into real game positions and try to transpose into those positions that I know, like the Philidor, the Lucina position as well. Yeah, Lucina, Philidor, and etc. But yeah, guys, this was the game. Very unfortunate that I couldn't hold this position, but rook endgames. What I can say, just keep working hard, and hopefully next time I get a similar rook endgame, I will be able to just calmly clutch it and in the future. But still, this tournament is going well. Round 3 I lost, but round 1 I won, and round 2 I drew. So still pretty good for me. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys next time, and until then, take care. Peace.